Hello friends, today we describe about the regulation of the thyroid hormone secretion. So, regulation of the thyroid hormone secretion that is occurred by the two mechanism, one by the negative feedback mechanism and another by the auto-regulation of the thyroid gland. If we see the first mechanism, that is the by negative feedback mechanism, it operates through the hypothalamo-pituitary axis, which play the essential role in controlling the secretion of the thyroid hormones. T3 appears to be more actively involved than the T4. So, free T3 that directly inhibits the TRH and TSH secretion from the hypothalamus or from the anterior pituitary and that controls the thyroid hormone secretions. The TSH produced by the pituitary and TRH produced by the hypothalamus is inhibited by this T3 and lesser extent by the T4. Increased synthesis of the TSH and TRH occurs in response to decreased circulatory level of the T3 and T4. Now if we see the auto-regulation of the thyroid gland, then auto-regulation of the thyroid gland that is done by the two mechanism. One by the intrinsic control system that is present within a thyroid gland, which modifies the responsiveness to the thyroid stimulating hormone that is secreted from the anterior pituitary gland. Second, the role of iodine in the diet. We know that the iodine that is important for the thyroid hormone formation. So, this iodine that causes auto-regulations for the thyroid hormone secretion. In small doses, it is necessary for the thyroid functions, and in large doses, it decreases the thyroid functions. Now, if we see the regulation of the thyroid secretion, in this first one is the TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone, that is also called the thyrotropin, that is secreted from the anterior pituitary gland cells, that is called the thyrotropes. Its secretion is controlled by the TRH, that is the thyrotropin releasing hormones that is secreted from the hypothalamus. It is a glycoprotein with a molecular weight about the 28,000 and it has a 221 amino acid plus hexosamine and sialic acids. It has a two subunits, alpha which is similar to the alpha of FSH, LH and HCG, and beta which is important for its specificity and functions. Its biological half-life is about 60 minutes and it is degraded mainly in the kidney and to a lesser extent in the liver. If we see its secretion is in the pulsatile manner, and it means the output starts to rise at about the 9 p.m. and peaks at midnight, and then it declines during the day. Normal secretion rate is about 110 microgram per day. Average plasma level is 2 microunits per ml, and the TSH receptor, that is a serpentine receptor present on the thyroid cells, which act via the cyclic AMP mechanisms. The structure of the TSH varies from species to species, but other mammalian TSH are biologically active in the humans. Now, if we see the mechanism of action of the TSH, that is via the cyclic AMP mechanism. So, binding of the TSH with a specific TSH receptor on the basal membrane surface of the thyroid cells. That is the first event. See that in the figure. The hormone that is combining with the TSH receptor that is present on the cell of the thyroid cells, that is the basal membrane of the thyroid cells, that activates the adenyl cyclase enzymes in the membrane, and that will increases the formation of the cyclic AMP inside the cell. The cyclic AMP act as a second messenger to activate the protein kinases, which causes the multiple phosphorylation throughout the cells. See, this is the cyclic AMP formation, and that causes the multiple phosphorylation throughout the cells. The results in both an immediate increase in the secretion of the thyroid hormones and prolonged growth of the thyroid glandular tissue itself. Now, if we see the effect of the TSH on the thyroid gland, then first one is the increase the proteolysis of the thyroglobulin. That is the earliest effect, and that is the release of the thyroid hormone within 30 minutes. Then after other events that takes minute, hour, days and days to activate the other activities in the thyroid cells. So second is the increased activity of the iodine pump, which increases the rate of iodide trapping in the glandular cells and sometimes increasing the ratio of the intracellular to the extracellular iodide concentration in the glandular substance to as much as 8 times than that of the normal. Third one, it causes the increased iodination of the tyrosine to form the thyroid hormone. Fourth one is increase the size and increase the secretory activity of the thyroid cells. And fifth one is increase the number of the thyroid cells. It means the TSH activate all the steps of the thyroid hormone formation, as well as also it increases the number and size of the thyroid glandular cells. So its activity is more increased, more stimulated by the TSH. Now, if we see the factors that affects the TSH level or secretion, then it is mainly stimulated by the thyrotropin releasing hormone that is secreted from the hypothalamus. Low level of the thyroid hormone that will again stimulate the TSH secretion from the anterior pituitary, also stimulate the hypothalamus to release the more TRH. Exposure to the cold and estrogen hormone all causes a stimulation of the TSH secretion from the anterior pituitary. The TSH secretion that is inhibited by dopamine, somatostatin, glucocorticoid, emotion and excitement, and high level of the thyroid hormones. Now, another hormone that controls the thyroid hormone secretion, that is the TRH, that is the thyrotropin releasing hormone. Controls this TRH that controls the TSH secreted from the anterior pituitary gland, secreted from the hypothalamus and transported to the anterior pituitary by way of hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal blood. It is a simple substance or tripeptide amide, that is the pyroglutamyl, histidyl, proline, and third one is the amide. If we see the mechanism of action of the TRH, it binds with the TRH receptor in the pituitary cell membrane. This in turn activates the phospholipase second messenger system inside the pituitary cells to produce the large amount of the phospholipase C, followed by the cascade of other second messengers including the calcium ion diacylglycerol, which eventually lead to the TSH release. So you see in the figure that is the G protein dependent TRH signaling that causes the stimulation of the phospholipase C pathway that causes the formation of the diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate activation that causes the activation of the calcium. Also there is a other events that causes the more release of the TSH from the anterior pituitary glandular cells. Now, factors that affect the TRH secretion. In this, the increased TRH secretion that is occur when there is exposure to the cold via the hypothalamic temperature regulating centers. And second is a fall in free T3 and T4 level in the blood. Decreased TRH secretion that is occur when there is a stress, excitement and anxiety conditions, also stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system, and third one increase in the free T3 and T4 level. Now, TSH estimation, one of the best tests with accuracy and sensitivity of the modern assay for the TSH. The marked inverse correlation between the plasma free thyroid hormone level and the plasma TSH. Measurement of the TSH is now widely regarded as one of the best tests of the thyroid function in thyroidectomized individuals. So that is asked in your MCQ, that is which is the best test to estimate the thyroid functions in thyroidectomized individual. The amount of the T4 that normalize the plasma TSH in the athyrotic individuals averages about the 112 microgram of the T4 by mouth per day in the adult. Now, autoregulation in the thyroid secretion by intrinsic control system within a thyroid which modifies the responsiveness to the TSH and thus maintains the constancy of the stored hormone in the thyroid in spite of the wide variation in the iodine intake. As we know that the iodine is taken by in the food, so there is a variation in the iodine intake, but within a thyroid gland it is auto-regulated by its modification by responsiveness to the TSH, and so that the constancy of the stored hormone that is maintained. Now, role of iodine in the diet. Iodine, which is a raw material, also has a paradoxical effect on the thyroid function. In small doses, it is necessary for the thyroid function, and in the large doses, it decreases the thyroid functions. When the iodide content that is increased, the thyroid gland is depressed, and there is a decreased iodine transport through the thyroid glandular cells. When iodine is less or deficient, hyperactive thyroid gland and enlarge. Hence, this helps to maintain the normal secretion rate of the thyroid hormone without altering the TSH secretion, even if there is a change in iodine therapy. Now, effect of the high dose of the iodine on the thyroid gland. High doses of the iodine reduces the thyroid hormone formation and release by following mechanism. First one, it preventing the oxidation of iodide to the iodine. Second, it prevents the iodination of the tyrosine. Third one, it causes decrease proteolysis of the thyroglobulin, so more accumulation of the colloid. It decreases the TSH effect on the thyroid gland, and last one, it decreases the blood flow to the thyroid gland due to the decreased energy metabolisms. Now, antithyroid substance. The drugs that suppress the thyroid secretion are called the antithyroid substance. Based on one of these substances are thiocyanate, propylthiouracil, high concentration of the inorganic iodides, aminobenzenes, that is the para-aminobenzoic acid and sulfonamides, and natural goitogens. If we see the mechanism of action of the thiocyanate, this thiocyanate ions decreases mainly the iodide trapping. We know that the iodide trapping, that is the main pump that will increases the iodide concentration inside the glandular cells. Here this thiocyanate ion that decreases the iodide trapping. The same active pump that transport the iodide ions into the thyroid cells can also pump this thiocyanate ions, perchlorate ion and nitrate ion. The administration of this thiocyanate or one of the other ion as well in high enough concentration can cause the competitive inhibition of this iodide transport into the cells, and that is the inhibition of the iodide trapping mechanism. So here you see that there is a red mark that is a given that causes the inhibition of this iodide trapping mechanism, and this is done when there is a high amount of the thiocyanate, perchlorate or nitrate ion that is administered, that causes the competitive inhibition of iodide trapping inside the glandular cells. Now what happens by this iodide, thiocyanate ion and other antithyroid drug? What is the effect of the antithyroid drug? So if we see the first one, that is the thiocyanate ion decreases the iodide trapping, that causes the decreased availability of the iodide ions inside the glandular cells. That causes the decreased iodination of the thyroglobulin, and that causes the less thyroid hormone synthesis and decreased pre-T3 and T4 level in the blood. That causes a stimulation of the TSH secretion from the anterior pituitary, and that causes a stimulation of the thyroid gland and produces more and more thyroglobulin without iodination. Why? Because here you see that it decreases the iodination of the thyroglobulin molecule, but it does not decrease the thyroglobulin synthesis by the thyroid cells. So here there is a formation of the thyroglobulin that is continue, but it is not iodinized, so that there is no formation of the only thyroid hormones, so that stimulation of the thyroid gland produces more and more thyroglobulin without iodination, that increases the colloid formation inside the follicle, and that enlarges the thyroid follicle as well as the enlarged thyroid gland, and that is called the goiter. So that is the one of the adverse effect of the antithyroid drug thiocyanate as well as the propylthiouracil and other compounds such as the methimazole and carbimazole, that it produces the enlarged thyroid gland, that is called the goiter. So here the another drug, that is the propylthiouracil, if we see the mechanism of this propylthiouracil and methimazole and carbimazole compounds, then it causes the or blocks the peroxidase enzyme mainly. Here the thiocyanate ion that causes the inhibition of or decrease the iodide trapping. Here it what causes the propylthiouracil that causes the blockage of the peroxidase enzymes that will block the iodination of the tyrosine. As we know, the peroxidase enzyme that is important for the iodination of the tyrosine molecule. So here, because of the blockage of the peroxidase enzyme, there is a blockage of the iodination of the tyrosine molecule. Also, partly to block the coupling of the two iodinated tyrosine to form the thyroxine and triiodothyronine. As we know that the coupling reaction also need the peroxidase enzyme. So both this causes the less thyroid hormone synthesis and decreases the T3 and T4 levels. So here both these drugs that decreases the thyroid hormone synthesis, so it is used in the case of the hyperthyroidism, but only adverse effect is it enlarges the thyroid gland, that is called the goiter. Now effect of the high concentration of the iodide on the thyroid gland. When we administer the high concentration of the iodide 100 times the normal plasma level, then it reduces the rate of iodide trapping. So that decreases the rate of iodination of tyrosine to form the thyroid hormone. And second mechanism, it paralyzes the normal endocytosis of the colloid from the follicle by thyroid glandular cells. That causes immediate shutdown of the thyroid hormone secretion into the blood. So both this mechanism that gives you the decrease all the activity of the thyroid gland, but often they remain decreased only for the few weeks. All this activity that is a decreases, that causes a slight decrease in the size of the thyroid gland, and it also causes a decrease its blood supply. And for this reason, these iodides that are frequently administered to the patient for 2 to 3 weeks before the surgical removal of the thyroid gland to decrease the necessary amount of the surgery, especially to decrease amount of the bleeding. So this is asked in the explain of our 1 mark. Now Wolff-Chaikoff effect. Here what is the Wolff-Chaikoff effect? When large doses of the iodides that is administered, that reduces the effect of the TSH on the gland by reducing the cyclic AMP response to this hormone, and also it inhibits the proteolysis of the thyroglobulin that causes the mild and transient inhibition of organic binding of iodide and inhibition of high hormone synthesis. And this all effect that is called the Wolff-Chaikoff effect, and that is due to the large doses of iodides. The Wolff-Chaikoff effect is greater and more prolonged when the iodide transport is increased, and this is why patients with hyperthyroidism that are more responsive to the iodide than that of the normal individual. Now last, that is a naturally occurring goitrogens. The vegetables of the Brassicaceae family, particularly the rutabagas, cabbage and turnip, contain the progoitrin, a substance that converts this compound into the goitrin, an active antithyroid agent. The progoitrin activator in the vegetable, that is a heat rebel. So when we cook the vegetable, then again it is inactivated, but there are activators in the intestine, presumably that is of the bacterial origin. The goitrin is formed even if the vegetables are cooked. The goitrin intake on a normal mixed diet is usually not great enough to be harmful, but in a vegetarian and food faddies, the cabbage goiter do occur. Other as yet unidentified plant goitrogen probably exists, but may be responsible for the occasional small goiter epidemics reported from the various parts of the world. So this is about the regulations of the thyroid hormone secretion. So thank you for watching this video.